Ready? Are you ready?
Mm-hmm.
Well, hello.
Always ready.
Hello, everybody. This is Wholehearted Living with Bennie
And Valerie.
and we are so very glad that you guys are with us today. How are you doing, Iggy?
Hello, I am.
Are you still trying to figure
Wow.
out how to make whipped cream?
No.
Okay.
Iggy was earlier trying to find whipped cream and figure out how to make whipped cream for his store. I don't know if we're allowed to say this because we might not. All of our sponsors might get upset. So, Iggy,
But Iggy's a store manager for Starbucks.
Yeah.
And he had a crisis.
He had a crisis situation. So, and it is actually, if you like Starbucks and you don't have whipped cream, that sucks. And
If you like Starbucks and you don't have whipped cream, because I like Starbucks-ish. I actually prefer coffee bean. But if I get Starbucks, I don't really look for whipped cream.
oh, well, that's weird. Yeah, but you also buy coffee that you can just get at the store. I don't understand people that buy drip coffee at
I don't buy
Starbucks.
drip. I buy an Americano.
Okay, well, whatever. It's just shots and water then.
Yeah.
So, but what I think is interesting is like, if you're going to go there, you get something like you can't do at home.
No.
I guess you can't do it Americano. I just went Spanish.
Americano. I used to
good
get the
story.
very, very sugar-laden coffees, and when I really saw what was in those coffees, I said, nope.
Yeah. Well, but still, you're spending $475 for dirty water.
I know.
So-
But you know what? Here's the thing. Peter and I both agreed. I don't know. He might still get coffee during the week, but we both use a coffee outing. Basically, on Saturday and Sunday, we get one coffee out.
Ah.
So we don't do it during the week at
So
all.
I managed a Starbucks for a while, and you know that since then, I don't think I bought a Starbucks ever again. Because even when I was one, I thought it was crazy that they cost so much money. I thought
It is
it
so
is so
expensive.
crazy. I
Do
can
you know
I make
every-
coffee right there. Now my daughter has brought me coffee.
Well, and this is why I say that I don't really do Starbucks because, sorry, Iggy, store manager man. But I actually prefer coffee bean coffee. But I'll tell you why. A lot of people I know that go, ooh, no, I don't like coffee bean. I like Starbucks. But I really don't like a bold coffee. And even the most mildest coffee, like even if you just get a Pike's or whatever, to me, I know an Americano is definitely more smooth.
Pike is medium, so just to be fair.
But at any rate, it's still a little too bitter for my taste.
Yeah.
And coffee beans a little more smooth.
I think the thing for me is, well, and part of that could be who's brewing it, because they're supposed to do a regimen and not all the stores do it, right? And they don't also necessarily clean their systems the way they're supposed to. But what I can tell you is I am not a connoisseur. So I can tell when coffee's bad. Like when somebody really
yeah, for
messes
sure.
up, like sometimes you go to a men's thing. I don't know what it is with men, but they don't know how to do coffee. And so all they do is just scoop and scoop and scoop
Yeah.
and scoop. And then sometimes you get it and it's like tar.
Yeah.
And that to me is not very good. But
Yeah.
otherwise, if it's like generally good, I can't really tell the difference. I can't.
You know what's weird now that you just said that is
well,
when
you know what's weird? Unicorns are weird. You just said, what's weird. So I just threw it out there.
Oh, okay. But you know what's interesting is that you mentioned that about it depends on who makes the coffee, because I remember getting coffee when Dustin worked at Starbucks. And I remember every time he made our coffees, I thought it was fantastic.
He was
and
putting whiskey in it.
well, then I would have hated it because I don't like whiskey.
Oh.
But no, it's not that he always made it that way, because he was actually not always on the bar, because he also ran the store or whatever, lead or whatever you call it. But whenever he knew he was making it for me, he did it extra special. And he goes, oh, that's because I did this with it. And that's because I did that. Or if it was...
There is definitely a difference between who makes it and what is this back in the day. This is not Americano.
no,
Americanos.
this was other drinks
Right,
or whatever.
because
yeah.
it does make a difference who makes it for sure. Because we definitely have certain baristas that are like back in the day that were very good, and then some people like Patty at one of my stores. She says if that girl makes it, I'm not having it.
Yeah.
She was like, I can't do it.
Yeah.
So you know who it is. I'm not going to say it because it'll ruin everybody. But she really couldn't.
She probably listens to this.
She probably listens to the podcast, or all of her friends are going to say, "Oh my gosh, I got her." Yeah, but the point is that Well, actually, there's absolutely no point to this whole thing. We're probably just going to edit it out.
I know. If you like coffee out there, what do you prefer? Let us know.
Yeah.
Coffee bean or Starbucks?
Or Pete's. Do you like Pete's coffee?
Oh, Kylie likes Pete's.
And then there's a lot of mom and poppy ones too.
Yeah, Pete's is good.
Pete's is good. Pete's is how Starbucks actually started. So Pete's
In Seattle or?
Yeah.
The founder of Pete's was the mentor of the people that founded Starbucks.
Interesting.
And actually, the first coffee, like the coffee, like the literal coffee, was Pete's coffee that was converted into a Starbucks brand kind of a thing.
Wow.
So,
I learned something today.
Yeah. Well, you're
very cool.
Seriously, this is the first thing that you've learned all day? It's 5 o'clock in the afternoon.
Actually, I think it is.
No, you read this today.
Oh, that's true. I learned a lot today. We read the Guidepost number 9.
Yeah. So, by the way, we normally do a tag team type thing where one of us comes in with a topic. And I shouldn't say normally because for the last 12, 13 weeks, we haven't been doing that. But for normally what we've done is choose a topic and then the other person is surprised by it. And then we just ponder it. And it all has to do with wholehearted living. That's our goal. Mm-hmm. And now we're reading...
The Gifts of Imperfection by Brene Brown. And Benny said he read it quite a while back. And then he basically brought it up like maybe we should read it. We could talk about each guidepost on the show. And yeah, we are talking about each guidepost, but we're not really necessarily doing a book report. We're reading it and then we're just giving kind of tips and or how we apply it. Or if we haven't applied it, what are we learning to maybe take forward to apply?
Yeah. And the guideposts have to do with the fact that all of us, this by the title, you get it, The Gifts of Imperfection, is the idea that we all deal with, we're not perfect. And we all deal with shame. I know, sorry, except for Valerie, who doesn't eat sugar. And so we're all dealing with some kind of shame, some kind of issues. And so what Brene Brown did was, she actually found people who were living in her opinion, wholeheartedly, I guess. And she came up with 10 things that they all had in common. And so we are today going to be discussing guidepost number 9. So did you have any other little anecdote that you wanted to share? What time is it? How long have we been doing this? Oh, I do want to share this, that I'm done with school for the quarter, which is really nice. Today I'm done.
So
with school.
Exciting. I'm sure because... it just probably really is.
Wow. Hey, guys, Valerie's going to be booked for speeches later on, if you guys want that. Anyway, no, yeah, so it's really cool because even this whole week was easy because I had already done all the major projects and stuff. And then
Wait, so how long are you off then?
3 weeks.
Oh, very cool.
What's funny, and it sounded like such a good idea, but one of my fellow students in California, we have there's certain standards that we have to do in order to get our license. And so there's a course that I have to take. I can't even remember what I'm taking. Do you remember what it's called, Patty? What it says on there? I think it's legal and ethics or something like this. I don't remember. Anyway, at the time I thought it was a good idea and I signed up for it. It's an all-day course and I've been so excited about finally being done with school. And I knew this course was coming up. And I was like, oh, I'm going to be able to chill. And I even told my son-in-law, yeah, we'll be able to get together and we could da-da-da and jigga-jiggy. And then Patty goes, you have a course all day Sunday. So I'm going back to school on Sunday all day.
That's just a day.
It is just a day, but it's been 10 weeks. And so it's not, it feels like, and I, you know what?
But you're excited to learn it, right? Or no?
Not really.
Oh, I feel you.
No, because what is the course? Does it say on there? Can you tell me real quick?
Yes.
But it's
legal and ethical issues for therapists.
Yeah, legal and ethical issues.
That's kind of important.
For California. It is important. I'm not saying it's not important, and it's required.
You just were bummed because you thought you were done.
Yeah, I thought I was done, and that just means it's a lot of information, and I just thought I was done. So for 3 weeks, and I was going to be able to chill out. But I did fix our shower.
Well, that's good.
Isn't that exciting?
That is.
And then the other thing I did was I washed our windows.
Oh, that's what I have to do.
I know. And then I washed our windows in and then it rained.
I know.
But it looks okay right now.
I'm going to do my windows during spring break. But you know what I've been doing? So we'll do this real quick before we get into the guidepost.
Oh, do it in the next one.
I'm
just kidding.
I have been counting my macros.
Oh, no way. That is awesome.
He doesn't even know what that means.
No.
No, I have been, okay, so here's the thing. I don't like to log my food. I don't like to know how many calories I'm eating. I just eat until I'm full, and then I eat when I'm hungry. And I eat real food, so I'm never really concerned about how much I'm eating, what I'm not eating, or whatever.
Patty. Valerie eats real food.
I do. I don't eat processed food. You're acting like it's a weird thing to say, but some people don't realize there's such thing as real food, and then there's food-like products.
Really?
Yes. I don't eat food-like products.
Do we eat food-like products, or do we eat real food? We eat both.
So, all that to say, I decided I need to, I was thinking to myself, I think I'm getting enough protein in. I'm trying to make sure I get enough protein in on a daily basis. And I, again, just because of my history of disordered eating, I didn't want to count my calories. I didn't want to count my macros. Macros are basically counting like the calories, the fat content, the carbs, you want to know what your percentage is or how many grams you're getting per day. So I said, okay, you know what? I need to make sure that I'm getting enough protein in every single day. And I logged my food for 2 or 3 days in a row. And I was like, I'm not even getting half the amount of protein I want to get in per day. And so I said, that's okay. I'm going to start logging and just make sure. It has been a game changer in how I have felt in my how I work out, how satiated I am, and I don't feel like snacking. And so I can't believe how much I was lacking.
So do you, I don't understand how you get, there's like no macro line on food, is there?
I don't know what that means, but like for me, I want to get in at least 120 grams of protein a day.
Okay.
So when I was logging my food to find out if I was getting that or more or whatever, I was getting like 50.
What I still don't understand is you said I'm counting macros, and now you're telling me that you're counting protein. I'm confused.
Protein is a macro. Like you're counting
then why do they
the
have two different
macronutrients.
names? Why don't they just say one?
Well, because it's all inclusive. So now I look and I see, I have this many carbs per day. I have this much fat per day. I have this much protein. So I'm basically...
So you're still counting all the individual things.
Yeah, but my main concern is making sure... the reason I'm logging is to make sure I'm getting enough protein in.
I get it. But what I'm saying is if you're counting your macros, you're still having to count everything individually.
I'm not having to. It's just the way the app works. It's just the way the app works. Yeah, it just automatically does that. I don't know if there's an app that just does protein, but it's just when you log your...
There's this woman called Danielle, I think, the dietitian. I think that's her name. And she always says... So you got to count your macros. You got to count your macros. And I'm like looking at the line and I'm like, there's nowhere it says macros. How are you even supposed to count them?
Oh, you're waiting for it to say macros on the...
Yeah, why wouldn't it? I don't understand.
No.
Why you're laughing? Why? I mean, I don't understand. How are you supposed to count your macros?
Yeah.
Macros. I don't know why I just went into an accent.
Anyway, all that to say, I was really under protein grams per day for what I want.
You're under protein.
Under protein. And I
So why don't you just drink a protein shake? Wouldn't that would do it, wouldn't it?
It would if I'm low. Like, let's just say, for example, I log all my food and then I realize, I'm still like 40 grams short of what I want to do. And I don't want to make a meal anymore because it's 8 p.m. at night. I could make a protein shake for sure.
I'm
but I don't want to replace that a meal. I want to eat real food. You can do that.
Can you over macro? Like if you're supposed to do, 20 macros, what happens if you do 40?
40 macros or 40 grams of protein?
40 macros.
You don't know what it is. No. You need to take a class on it on Saturday before your other class.
Okay.
No, you can, if you want to count your protein, this particular app counts everything. So now I'm aware of how much fat I'm taking in, how much carbs I'm taking in. But specifically, I'm only looking at the protein.
If you doubled your macros, then you'd be doubling your fat and everything.
You're not doubling macros. Macros is the name for everything that you're...
I'm not going to understand this.
Okay, never mind. Anyway, I'm taking in more protein than so there you go.
I'm so proud of you.
We're all done. Yes.
Yes. Woo-wee! Macros.
Sorry, audience.
Yeah, give it up for macros. Okay. Well, I have recently been counting my micros.
There is such thing. There is such thing as micronutrients. So tell me more.
Well, it's the adaptogens. I was adaptogening with my microbiology.
Moving on.
Let's move on. Last week.
Cultivating meaningful work, letting go of self-doubt and supposed to is what we're going to talk about today.
Okay. What do you have to say about it?
I kind of, you know what? It's
Wow.
One of the things that really hit me was when she's talking about people asking, "What do you do?" And your answer is, "Well, I just do this," or she said, "I have so many hats. I'm a mom. I'm this. I'm that. I'm the other." And I found it very interesting because she says now her answer is, "What do you do to this?" Is how much time do you have? Where before it was just like she would name one particular
I'm
thing.
a professor.
Yeah, and it's very interesting because when I read that, I remember back when I was a stay-at-home mom, when people would say, "What do you do?" I remember thinking, "I'm just a stay-at-home mom." Like I didn't I didn't look at it like I'm a mom, like with a proud, you know what I mean? And then as we moved on with this particular guidepost, I realized like there's a lot of things that we should take pride in. And it doesn't have to be a monetary thing. We don't have to put a price or if it's not an income producing thing that we do, we shouldn't feel shame in saying what we do.
Well, I think the biggest part of this guidepost for me, I mean, I have a lot of little highlighted parts, but the part that's the most important, like overarching part, is the fact that we have to be doing something in life that gives us energy, something that brings joy to others and brings joy to ourselves, and it shouldn't have anything to do with monetary compensation.
Exactly.
So the idea, for instance, you're big on Instagram. I don't know if and how much money you make when you're doing your Instagram thing, but you're doing it for a reason. And we do this podcast for a reason.
Right.
We're doing it because it's like, for me, it's creative. It forces me to think about things that maybe I wouldn't if I was chilled out. It's a way to get back for me, because I do hope that our listeners and when I get to hear somebody say that, they're either enjoying it or it made them smile or they're actually taking something from it. All those things are super helpful for me. And I just know that the idea of this guidepost is if all you're doing is eat, work, sleep, you're going to die. You're not going to be living it wholeheartedly. I'm not saying that right.
Wholeheartedly.
Well,
no, and I agree with you because at one point in here, she said something like, one of the people that she spoke to about this, one of her, what do you call it? Researcher, one of her people that she chatted about it, was that, oh my God, I lost my whole train of thought.
That's what happened.
Was that, I think one of the things she was saying was that you're supposed to hate your work. That's a definition of work.
Oh, right.
And I think that if you hate your work, then I don't know.
Well, the thing that's interesting is that she was talking about the whole idea of the different ways that people look at work, right? And so a lot of people do it for the check, which is obviously necessary. I mean, we have to make money,
right?
Otherwise, you don't eat and you don't live. So for some people, you're going to work, and that's not going to be what brings you joy.
Right.
It's going to be, you could be grateful for the job because it brings you the money, but it doesn't necessarily bring you joy, that creative thing. What I found fascinating was that I don't remember the context, but she was wearing earrings for this one woman.
This hit a spot for me.
Yeah. And she said to the woman, she goes, "Oh my gosh, you're a jeweler, And she goes, "Oh," and the woman laughed and said, No, I'm not a jeweler. I'm an accountant. I just do that on the side.
Yeah.
And then Brene Brown pointed to her ears and said, "You're a jeweler."
Yeah.
And the idea was the identity, the woman was finding identity in what actually was lucrative. she wasn't finding identity in the fact that she actually does something that other people like, and whether or
Yes.
not it's actually creating a significant income is
Yes.
irrelevant. What's relevant is she does it because she likes it, and it gives her
Exactly.
energy, and it's something for others. 'Cause
And
I-
it's so funny
yeah.
because that hit me really hard because when I had the Instagram Coco's Paleo Kitchen, I was this sounds so weird, but I was actually recognized at places, you know, and they're like, "Oh my God, you're Coco's Paleo Kitchen," and you know, it was just really weird because especially if I had like my daughter with me or Peter or whatever, you know, it was like, "Oh yeah, I am," you know, and I always felt very like you know, like it's nothing, you know. But in reality, it was really something.
Yeah.
And I should have been more, I wasn't not proud of it, but I should have been more like the woman with the jewelry. Like, you know, it was like a
Recognizing
back
that
seat.
this
It
was
was like,
something great.
yes.
Yeah.
And it wasn't, I mean, yeah, I made a few dollars. It wasn't anything where I could like quit my day job. But I mean, I didn't look at it like my thing. I was
Right.
just like a side thing.
It was
you
a
know?
side thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the truth is that if you're talking about money, a lot of these things are side things if you're just talking about money. But if you're talking about identity and purpose and bringing joy and making it so that you're living wholeheartedly, then it's actually significant that people have that outlet, whatever it might be.
Well,
Iggy's right here. Look at
that.
this. So
Did
Iggy,
bring me joy.
so this is interesting. Iggy, how much money are you making for a podcast?
Nothing.
Yeah, exactly. And you know why? Because we're giving you half of everything we make. and so, but here's
Therefore, nothing.
Yeah. So here's the thing that's interesting though. So why in the world are you doing this? Why in the world do you go to work early enough so you can make sure that you're here to do this? So I'm putting Iggy on the spot. He wasn't even listening. Do you remember? It's Wholehearted Living. I'm kidding. No, but you're doing this because this is something you like to do, no?
Words in his mouth.
Okay.
Okay.
Oh, it is. I like getting to record and do this stuff.
Yeah.
It's, I don't know, it's always a weird, not weird, it's a nice thing thinking that I get to be part of creating something that
Mm-hmm.
a complete stranger might like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Something that'll make a difference for them.
Yeah,
Exactly. And I
exactly.
love that he said that because it's something meaningful. It's not bringing in money. And I even think that to myself with this thing. It's like Peter actually asked me yesterday, I believe it was. I think it was yesterday. We were talking about the podcast and how the guideposts are almost going to be over and we're trying to figure out how to move forward with the next
Topic.
yeah. And and I don't remember exactly what he was saying about it, but I said something about it's not like I said, oh, I know what I was saying. We're going to record every other week versus every week. And I said, so that's nice because we'll have every other Friday off. And he goes, oh, is that good or bad? I go, well, it's nice, but I do look forward to doing this. And
Yeah.
I don't know how many people we're reaching, to be honest with you. I'd like to start publicizing it a little bit more so we can try to reach more people.
Yeah.
But at the same time, if it's hitting one person, then I feel like I'm good with this because
Yeah.
I love chatting with you. I love coming over and seeing you guys. And I just feel like it's a good thing.
Yeah.
It's a good gig.
And I will say, we do know that we have people in Europe. Is that right? That's true. We have people in Europe. We have people in Ecuador. Mis amigos in Ecuador. Hola, ¿cómo están todos? Yeah. Okay. And we have those folks. We have people in Missouri. We have people in California. And so we know it's hitting some folk. And so we're grateful for all of you guys that are listening. But the real thing for us is that, yes, you know what's interesting about this whole guidepost though too? It's not just about doing something for yourself that brings you joy. Part of it is making an impact on other people.
Right.
Now, making that impact in our case is wholehearted living. So we're trying to really help the entire person. But for that jewelry person, it's making them feel better about themselves when they wear that
Of
jewelry. They
course.
look better or whatever. So it's
Right.
not, I don't want to make it sound like everybody's got to do something super psychological or
Right.
whatever.
No,
it's
no,
just that
no.
we're doing something
Well,
for the greater good.
even the Coco's Paleo Kitchen, because like I told you before, I think I've said this on the podcast before. There was a lot of days where I'm like, oh, I got to put out a recipe this weekend. I got to hurry up and get home and write the blog and blah, 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 take the photos, whatever. And it got a little tiresome at time, even though I really loved it. But I would have to cut things off and say, I got to go home. I got to finish this. And then I would randomly get a message about, oh my God, that was the best recipe. And I'm so thankful for you because I was just diagnosed with this and they told me I had to cut that and your recipes are helping. And I'm like, this is why I do this. You know what I mean? And it just felt good to be able to help somebody else, and that was meaningful.
Right. And I know some people, so the thing is that if you're listening to us right now and you're thinking, well, what in this world does this have to do with me? The key thing is that some people are lucky enough that their job, meaning their vocation, the thing that brings in the income, also is part of the thing that gives them joy. And I will say, I think that everybody could find that a little bit if we just twisted our mind a little bit around what we're doing. Certainly Iggy's job, for instance, I'm bringing it up again, but Starbucks, I mean, their whole mission, at least in the old days, I think they have a new one now, but what was it called again? To nurture. What was it?
The old one?
Yeah.
To nurture and inspire the human spirit.
Yeah, to nurture and inspire the human spirit. That's what it excited me. Now it's to nurture and inspire, the corporate heads' money. They give them pocket. But I still think in overall, they really do want people to experience something when they get a Starbucks, and something happens. And that's the reason why people are willing to spend $5 for a coffee, because it's not just about the coffee. It's about the experience that you get. And when Iggy's working, he gets to do that too. But then this is a side note that's totally outside of Starbucks where you can make a difference. Well, I have friends that work in business, they work in banking, they work in all these different areas. And they wouldn't necessarily say that that's where they find their energy, but then they could talk about, I have this relationship with this friend and I do this and I could do this and I got to help out this customer. And when they get to do those kind of things, it perks them up. But then I have one of my closest friends for sure. What he does is he coaches basketball and he loves basketball. And so it's just another way to give back. He loves being able to do that. And those are the things that are important, that we all have something that we're doing that is expressing something genuinely, like something inside of us that is longing to come out. That's the key thing.
Right. I love in this particular guidepost where she's talking about the gremlins. And there's a lot of things that are in our minds, like, why you shouldn't pursue that or do this or what have you. And there's always like this little self-doubt. And I love when she says that gremlins are like toddlers. If you ignore them, they get louder. And so the best way to acknowledge these is to write them down. And I love that because a lot of times when you just have things in your head and it just keeps spinning and spinning and spinning and you keep hearing the same thing, once you kind of write them down, it takes it out of your head. You can acknowledge what those things are, and then you can figure out how to attack those gremlins, if you will. Those are basically the self-doubts. But it gives you, like she says, more power because now they're out of your head and it's not spinning, and you can attack them in a way like, how do I address what these self-doubts are?
Right. And so I love that too. It's so funny because I was right there. And what's funny about it is that she, the idea of the gremlins, if you're wondering what in the world is she talking about, is I bet you there is something that some of the listeners you want to do, that you're thinking, yes, this is part of who I am. I want to sing. Because I want to, whatever. It's a lot of people listening probably go to church. And so you're thinking, I don't know where I should serve inside there. And you have doubts about what you're doing. And she's saying, all of us have those gremlins, those doubts, those things that you're saying. And it's really just getting to that point of just saying, you know what? It doesn't matter. I'm going to go for it. I'm going to go for it. The worst thing that could happen is I don't like the word fail, but it doesn't work out. So then you look for the next thing.
Yeah. Or it's just not for you. It doesn't even have to be a failure. It just means like, you know what? This isn't for me.
This isn't for me. Exactly. And so, yeah, I remember in the old days when I used to, when I was pastoring, and I remember people would be sitting in the pew and I would say to them, because they were very godly. I laugh because I'm not sure if it was godliness or it was gremlins. But what I would say to them is I'd say, hey, we're looking for help in the youth ministry. Would you mind coming and helping? And they'd say, I'm really praying about where God wants me to be. And so I'm really, curious. And I would always say, well, wait in the youth ministry.
While you're praying, why don't you come help us out?
I go, you can come help us in youth ministry. And then as soon as God opens that door, then leave. Yeah. And then they're like, oh my God. And they start laughing at me. And I'm like, no, I'm serious. Yeah. It's like, I don't care if you're totally called. And then half of them stayed. One of them became like she was completely involved in that for ages, for years, and she actually
Because
says
sometimes
how
it
much
is
of-
where you're supposed to be and what you want to
Exactly.
do and where it brings you joy.
But she just thought, no, I can never do that, and turned out she made significant impact on lots and lots of students, and really enjoyed it. So yeah. So I think
Well,
it's a
I
really
think if
cool
you're
thing.
out there and you're listening to this thinking, I have those gremlins, I have that self-doubt about whatever it is you're wanting to do that brings you joy.
Yeah.
Even if it literally just means a side thing, if it means a hobby, whatever it is, I challenge you to pursue it and just see where it takes
And
you.
I challenge you to listen to our first podcast, because honestly, that was us and Gremlins for this,
For sure.
this very thing
For
that
sure.
we're doing right now.
And I love that she says here, a self-doubt undermines the process of finding our gifts and sharing them with the world. Because even if it isn't something that it will take you to share with the world, if it's something that you never know where a gift is until you pursue something and find out where, that happy place is or whatever.
This is a great quote. Don't ask what the world needs. Ask what makes you come alive and go
I love
do
that.
it.
Yeah.
Because what the world needs is people who
What
have
the
come
world
alive.
needs now is love, sweet love. Oh boy, I'm so sorry I cut you off with that, but that way.
Yeah, well, that's what you
No, I
needed.
really do love that. I underline that as well. It says, "Don't ask what the world needs. Ask what makes you come alive, because the
Echo.
world needs
Echo.
is people who come alive."
What the
World needs. Isn't
Anyway.
it true though?
Yeah, it's
For
totally
real.
true. That's the point for me, is that I actually say this to a lot of people in life coaching and stuff, especially people that are in sales. And I'll say, you know what? If you're passionate, people will buy it. Because when people see people with passion, it's like, oh my gosh, it's rare that we see people who are passionate about anything. And which is why some
100%.
horrible people get a lot of followers because they're passionate, and somebody's like, oh, I'll follow them because man, they seem to know what they're doing. Now, I'm not, obviously, hopefully you have values and other things that are driving you to do things
Yeah.
right. But the point is, we long for being passionate about whatever it is. And so you are designed to be doing something. You know, listener, we're all designed to be doing something. And so it's like, discover what it is, and the best way to do that is trial and error. It's not by trying to just think about it forever and ever and ever, because that will just never happen.
You got to get those toes wet and then take that step.
Yeah, toes wet and take the step. Hey,
Oh,
that rhymed.
should I kind that? Should I kind that or
Yeah, you
coin
should
that?
coin that. Maybe it'll be the new name of our podcast. No.
Oh, okay. So
folks-
she always ends it with a dig deep.
Yep.
You want to get deliberate?
Yeah.
Oh, it's kind of a long one.
No. So let's just say that get deliberate. So I'm just kidding.
It can take some time to figure out how to get deliberate about doing meaningful work. I finally got very specific and wrote down my own criteria for meaningful. Right now, just for me, I want to work to be inspiring. I don't know this word. Contemplative and creative. I'm using these as a filter to make decisions about what I do, what I commit to, how I spend my time.
Okay. And get inspired. This one's even longer. The long story of get inspired is, even look into other books. She recommends The Outlier, The Alchemist. I've read The Outlier and The Alchemist. I've never read this other one person / multiple careers. But I would encourage you to, the idea is, read something that's going to expand your mind and get you into thinking about these other areas of your life that you might be interested in. So she recommends One Person, Multiple Careers, The Alchemist I read, which is a fascinating book, and then Outliers is also a great book. Actually, everything by Malcolm Gladwell is great. All right, get going.
Make a list of what works and inspires you. Don't be practical. Don't think about making a living. Think about doing something you love. There's nothing that says you have to quit your day job to cultivate meaningful work. There's also nothing that says your day job isn't meaningful work. Maybe you just never thought of it that way. What's your ideal / Well, that doesn't make sense to you because you have to read the guidepost.
Yeah.
But
The
what do you want to
slash
do
is-
when you
the
grow
slash
up?
is I work / I'm a jewelry, customer or whatever.
Yeah,
/
I'm a mom. Yeah.
/ I'm a,
Yeah. So what is your ideal slash? And what do you want to do when you grow up? What brings meaning to you? So I loved that question at the end because at 59 years old, I'm still thinking about things I want to do when I grow up.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I'm
do.
not done learning. I'm not done trying. I'm not done creating. And
I'm 54 years old in college.
yeah, exactly.
Getting my master's. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, so it never ends. Hopefully you're a lifelong learner, but not only a lifelong learner, but a lifelong risker and go for it. So there you go, folks. That is Guidepost number 9.
So next week is Guidepost 10. It's our last guidepost. And
then we'll probably close it up with like just a general conversation about the whole subject matter. And then we're going to be moving into a new subject, which is a secret.
yes. So be on pins and needles.
Yes, it's amazing. It's going
I
to
know,
change everybody's lives. And if you...
Oh boy. Thank you for being here, you guys. We really appreciate you tagging along.
Yeah, we're really glad that you're here. If you would like to send us a comment, I'm at Bennie Gonzalez on Instagram.
And I am at A Daily Dose of Cocoa.
Thank you, Iggy, as usual. And this time I really put you on the spot. So
Thank you
so
for
much.
participating.
Yeah, if you want to sing with us, we'll end with
What the world needs now. Come on, Iggy.
Come on, Iggy. All right.
Bye, guys.
Ciao.
Oh boy. That was a fun.